MTD for VAT is kicking off on the 1st of April, and it heralds the start of a long-anticipated transformation of the UK tax return system. HMRC tells us it will make the tax administration more effective, more efficient and simpler, but how have you, the nation's tax agents, been finding the transition? I'm very glad you're here to join us today. This is one of our most popular webinars ever, and I am very much hoping we'll be able to get all of your questions answered. We'll be able to resolve any last minute sign up niggles and quibbles. So today I am really delighted that we've got our MTD expert Rebecca Hutton here from HMRC. She's head of stakeholder engagement, so that means us, and she is going to be talking us through the process of setting up an ASA, how to link clients, how to sign up for MTD, and then after Rebecca has spoken for about 20 minutes, we will get your questions answered. So please do send any comments in the text chat and raise any of your questions in the Q&A. You can find both of those in the toolbar at the bottom of your screen. So without further ado, let me say good morning, Rebecca. Over to you, and I will make sure we've got some slides for you.
Good morning, everybody, and apologies for not being able to see my beautiful face this morning. You will just have my name instead. I'm currently sitting in my dad's spare room doing this webinar, so I decided not to have the video on. You don't need to see that. So what I'm going to do today is talk to you about your agent services account. So help you prepare, as it says on the slide, for MTD. Where I can answer your questions, I will. And then I'm going to go through a sort of step-by-step guide with some screenshots around creating a new agent services account. And also we're going to show you how to link your clients to the government gateway. So that's really the first two steps for agents on their agent services account. Create the account, link clients, authorize software and sign them up. I will be doing the first of those two today. So before we actually go on to the actual journey, if you go to gov.uk and type in making tax digital for VAT into the search engine, it will bring you up a host of guidance. And one of those pieces of guidance is something that we released quite recently, and that is an agent step-by-step guide. And that is to show you pretty much everything that I'm going to go over today and more. What it doesn't have is it doesn't have those screenshots that I'm going to show you today. Now, HMRC are running their own webinars, and I believe that we're doing 2 on agent services account tail end of this month, and they will be paced in a way where we are trying to get people to create the account along with us and to link the clients at the same time, so that if you run into any issues, you are able to flag questions at the time. So if you do not have an agent services account at that point, or you don't create one after this event and you want to do that, it may be worth your while logging into one of those webinars.
Fantastic. Now, Rebecca, I think you might be able to progress these slides yourself. Might be worth just checking.
It says
your buttons work.
It says you can. Oh, you can control ICB UK screen.
What have I done giving you access to my screen? Does that work? The reason I mention it is because, oh, I tell you what. Ooh.
Oh, so I think that was me.
I'm not touching it.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, in that case, it is me. Fantastic.
Fantastic.
So sorry for the technical issues there, people. We've had a bit of a trouble deciding how to do this morning. So as I said, if you type in making tax digital for VAT into the search facility on gov.uk, this is what you will find, a host of guidance around making tax digital. And I would say that the best one for agents around agent services account, unfortunately, it's actually probably just the link below the one you can see, and that is agent step-by-step guide. And when you click on that link, it will bring you to this page here. So making tax digital for VAT as an agent step by step. And that will go over all of the things that I'm going to cover today. And if you are creating an agent services account and linking clients, I would suggest that it's best to have a read of this before you do it, or to have it open at the same time. It tells you all of the information that you would need to have to hand so that you can prepare, so that you don't have to exit the journey. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, hopefully, it's not letting me move the screens anymore.
There we go. It did change, I think.
Okay, so then it will bring you to create an agent services account. You can click on the link to create an account, and that is the page that will come up. You can go to this page from the guidance. So that is the sign in or setup page. So you can sign in, and you sign in using your existing government gateway IDs. So for your digital services, and you sign up using that. So I don't know if there's a delay on this, Amy, or whether it's not me controlling these slides, but I'm pressing the button and nothing's happening.
Okay, there we go. I've pressed it. We can do it together as a team.
Perfect. So as I said, you sign in using your existing government gateway credentials. So you put your government gateway user ID, which is usually up to 12 characters, and then enter the password associated with that gateway account, and then click the button to sign in. It will then bring you to this screen. So just a quick warning here, depending on how your firm is set up, so whether it's a company or whether you're maybe set up as a sole trader or a partnership, these screens may slightly differ. I've decided to use the partnership journey today. So as you can see there, it asks you to say what type of business you are. So for the rest of the presentation, I'm going to display the screens showing the sign-up journey for a partnership. The journey is very, very similar for limited companies and sole traders. But just if you are trying to do this along with me today, your screens may look slightly different from the ones that I'm showing. So then you come to the enter your business details page, and you type in the last 10 digits of your partnership UTR, or the UTR is associated to you as a limited company or a sole trader. You will then be asked to confirm your agency details. So is this your business? So confirm that this is your business address, or if you need to make any amendments, you can change details on the following screens. If the address isn't correct, you may have input an incorrect UTR, and you can now indicate that you want to do a different UTR if this is not your firm. You then press the green button that says continue. And then you come on to the anti-money laundering compliance screen. So you need to provide your anti-money laundering supervisory name, reference number, and expiry date when creating an ASA. So it's been a legal requirement since 2009 that all service providers for accountancy must be supervised for anti-money laundering purposes. Now, HMRC is a supervisor, but not everybody is supervised by ourselves. I suspect a lot of people on today, Amy, will actually be supervised by ICB, so it will be their details that they get from ICB that will be input in that screen. If you do not have anti-money laundering compliance details, you cannot set up an agent services account. So if there's anybody on today that is in that position, I'd suggest that you contact the ICB or HMRC. I suspect, Amy, that you guys can probably get them where they need to be quicker than we can. So I think my advice would be, if you have anybody on today that doesn't have their anti-money laundering compliance details, that they contact you. Well, maybe not you personally, but the ICB.
Absolutely, yes. You can just call us up. And just a word to say that here, when you're writing in the name of your money laundering supervisory body, people have been finding it a bit tricky. I understand that we are known as Institute of Bookkeepers, which is, of course, demeaning. So if you look for Institute of Bookkeepers, you should be able to find us and then write down, obviously, that you are supervised by us, if indeed you are. So in order to be supervised by us, you do need to have a practice license.
So you can find more guidance around the anti-money laundering supervisory on gov.uk, including how to apply to HMRC. But I would say that we've got about a 45-day wait for these to be issued at the moment. So you can see there that it asks you to input the name of your supervisory body. And what did you say that ICB comes under? Is it Institute of Bookkeepers?
Yes, exactly. Institute of Bookkeepers.
And then you press the green button to continue.
That's fantastic. And so this is, so somebody has actually asked, so this is if you're already set up as an agent, this is how you do it.
Yes, this is correct.
But if you're not already set up as an agent, you do that first with a normal government gateway account. Is that correct? And then
so if you don't interact with HMRC digitally at all at the moment, so if you don't have the old government gateway, so if you don't have a government gateway ID and password, you would have a step to complete before this. That's right. You would have to have a government gateway and password for the old digital services before you can set up the new one.
Fantastic. Okay.
So
go to the next screen.
On, you then, so you've pressed the green button to continue, and you get to the create a new government gateway user ID. If you go on to the next screen, you are asked to input an email address and confirm that it is correct. We will confirm this email address by sending a code to that email once you have pressed the green button to continue. Once you have that code, you type it into the box on the next page where it says enter the code, and then press the green button to confirm. You will then get a screen that shows you that that email address has indeed been confirmed, and this is you now creating your new agent services account. So the next box says, what is your full name? So you type in your full name. Now this should be your name and not the name of the business, or the name of the person who in your firm, if it is a firm, is responsible for the administrative affairs. If you're a sole trader, then that's fairly straightforward, it's your personal name. And then you then press the green button to continue. You're then asked to create a password of between 8 and 12 characters, usual kind of password rules, so 1 letter and 1 number, and it can't contain special characters. You confirm that password to make sure that you put it in correctly, and then press the green button to continue. You then need to set up a recovery password so that you can get back into Government Gateway if you have any issues. Now, this is a fairly standard way of setting up accounts online. So if you do have accounts, you'll be pretty used to how this type of thing goes. You then set up a recovery word, again between 6 and 12 characters, but this time it can't contain numbers, spaces, or special characters. And then press the next button to continue. So you're then given your new agent services account credentials, so your Government Gateway user ID. You might want to print out this screen or screenshot it or make a note of it somewhere, take a photograph of it. Please just capture these details and keep them somewhere safe. We will also email those details to the email address which you supplied earlier. So once you've got that email, again, keep it somewhere really safe. And it's really important that you know what Government Gateway ID and password you use for which service. So for those of you who already do use some of our digital services, those services in the main will remain where they are. So this will be something in addition to what you have already, not something that replaces it. I think it's important at this point to say that under your new agent services account, there is pretty limited functionality. So agent services account is currently used for the trust registration service. So if you have any involvements in those, you do that through your agent services account. And then if you don't have any involvement in the income tax pilot for MTD, which I'm going to assume that you don't because we only have very limited numbers in there at the moment, agent services account for your purposes is going to be purely for submitting VAT returns. And actually, in the main, you're going to be submitting those returns through software, not actually through agent services. So actually, once you have created your ASA, linked your clients and signed your clients up to MTD, your interaction with agent services in the meantime will probably be pretty limited. So over time, agent services will be the only show in town for paid agents, and all of their services will be accessed through this, but that is more of a long-term thing than something that's going to happen immediately.
Yeah, I think that's quite critical, isn't it? Because some people have been saying, well, actually, when I get to my ASA, I can't see my clients, but that's because it's not the portal that you use anymore.
That's correct. So that's a really good thing to mention, actually. So once, and we'll see it later on in the presentation, when you link your clients, you use your current agent codes to do that. Most of you might only have one, but some people I know have set up multiple agent codes in order to manage their clients on separate lists. But within Agent Services account, you actually don't get a comprehensive client list. However, that list is still available through the old service, as you quite rightly said there, Amy, is that we don't expect at the moment for your Agent Services account to be something that you use to manage your client list. That would be done on the old service.
Fantastic. Okay.
So at this point, you have created your Agent Services account and you have been given some new Agent Services credentials. And then you press the green button to continue. So it's going to ask you to choose the type of account you need, and you should check the box beside Agent and then press continue. You're then going to be asked for some details of your firm. So type the name of your firm into that box and continue. Your new agent ID is now shown on this screen. Again, please make a note of it, print it out, take a photograph of it, just make sure you have captured that. And then you come to the following screen, which is basically check your account details. So on this screen, you can confirm all of your details and make any amendments before we finally create that Agent Services account. If you don't amend your details at this stage, you won't be able to amend them in future via the ASA. So obviously you can amend your details with us, but please check them to make sure that they're right, because the easiest way to get them up to date is using this process. So then press the green button, noted confirm details and create account, and your Agent Services account is created. So this screen confirms you've successfully created your account. Make a note of the reference number and again capture it, print it out. You will be asked for this reference number if you need to contact HMRC because you're having problems accessing your Agent Services account. That's the creation element of the presentation done. So if you go to the Agent Step-by-Step guide, this is the part of create your Agent Services account. What I'm going to do now is talk about how you link your existing client relationships over to the Agent Services account. So moving on to linking clients, make sure you've saved a screenshot of all the credentials that you've just been sent. Your new Agent Services account is now live and you can start linking clients. So let's have a quick look. So sign in screen. On the results list, you will see the link to sign into your Agent Services account. Use this link to come to your page and sign into your new Agent Services account. And you will sign in with the new credentials that you have just created. And actually, I would recommend that at this point you save that link to your favorites, so you have got an Agent Services account sign up screen link in your favorites. So this will take you into your Agent Services account dashboard. As I said, you can't really do a huge amount in there at the moment. It is a very new service. So you can tell if you're in your Agent Services account, as it will always say so at the top of the page. So what we have seen, Amy, is we have seen people getting confused between their government gateway credentials and then wondering why they can't link their clients or sign their clients up. And I would say in 90% of the times we have had that query, the reason they're not able to see what we're telling them that they can see is that they have used the old credentials and they're not actually in their Agent Services account. So again, you can tell that you're in your Agent Services account as it will say so at the top of the page. If it doesn't say that, come out, log in again, use the different government gateway ID.
Okay.
So it's also going to show the name of your firm and the account number that you received earlier. If you now want to link your clients across, you click on the link on the right-hand side of the page, which states copy your existing self-assessment and VAT client authorizations to this account. Once you have clicked that, you will be brought to this page, which is basically the mapping start page. So before you start, you need to have your old government gateway credentials, because remember, what we're doing here is really creating a link between your new account and your old account. So you need both set of credentials for this process. So you sign in with your old credentials on the next screen to say, you know, I am this firm in agent services account, and here are my old credentials, so that we can create that dynamic link.
Mhm.
So you will then come to this screen. So press the green button noted for sign in. Input your original government gateway user ID and password for that account and press sign in. You will now see a screen showing that you have successfully linked your accounts. Now, if you have got more than one account, you can do this more than once. So further down the page, it will say sign in to link another account. So I am aware that some, mainly larger firms, to be fair, where they have maybe got, you know, different offices in different geographic locations, that have set up a government gateway account for each location rather than having one. However, under agent services account, you can only have one per firm. So if you have multiple codes to link, this is where you would do it. So you would sign in to link another account. If you don't want to do this, you can press the green button. So if you only have one government gateway account, just link one, and then you can click finish and sign out. So that's really the end of the slides on the create and link account. It was a bit of a quick whistle-stop tour through them. What I would say is that my team has recently started circulating Making Tax Digital updates for agents, and you can see the link there at the bottom of this slide. So if you haven't signed up for that, please email that mailbox and let us know that you would like to see the updates. I think we've sent about 4 so far, and we're going to send out number 5 this week. Once you join the mailing list, you'll obviously receive the updates, but we'll also send you the first 4 versions that we sent out as well, just so that you don't miss anything. So if you could just move on to the final slide, Amy,
yes.
and that talks about just getting ready, so practical steps. So what, as an agent, should an agent be doing to get ready? So the closer we get to MTD for that being implemented, I would say you need to make a plan to be ready. However, my experience from attending your events is that actually bookkeepers seem to be in a really good place. You guys seem to have been taking notice of this for much longer than some of the larger firms, and anecdotally seem to have a greater level of awareness of what needs to happen. So it may be that I'm a bit teaching grandma to suck eggs here. So if that's the case, you know, apologies, but brilliant that you're kind of close to being ready. Couple of kind of key messages from me. So I know that we're now sitting on the 26th of March, and people have got the 1st of April in their head, and the 1st of April is a really important date. Most businesses come under MTD from that date, so the first return starting on or after the 1st of April. However, I want to get away from thinking about that as an absolute deadline for people to actually physically sign up. So another key message is that you either have to sign your clients up to Making Tax Digital, or they have to sign themselves up. HMRC are not automatically signing them up. There is guidance on how you do that online. But what I would say today is that the kind of a drop dead date for people is that they have to be signed up in time to submit the return that should be submitted onto MTD. So for most people, the earliest that that's going to happen is around August. I would say don't leave it until, 5 days before that return is due, because you probably will encounter a problem that then, throws you off somewhat. But there's no mad rush to get everybody signed up for the 1st of April. So take your time, make a plan. It is more important that your clients are ready to be signed up and can comply than rushing them and getting them signed up too early. So once you've signed up for MTD, and this is an important part, so once you're signed up, as part of that sign up process, the access to the portal is blocked. So your record is transferred onto the new system, and if you were to encounter any problems, you can't just say, oh, well, I tell you what, I'll just file via the portal, because that would be blocked to you. So that's why I'm saying that it's super important that you sign up when you're ready. Now, if that means that you maybe don't sign up for the first quarter that's due under MTD, I would much rather that than have somebody put in a position where they couldn't submit and pay their VAT. So, HMRC will be taking what I'm referring to as a fairly light touch approach to penalties in the first year, in that we're not going to be charging filing penalties or record keeping penalties where we know that a business is trying their best to comply. Where people are putting their head in the sands and wait until this time next year to do it, we would take a pretty dim view of that. But where businesses are generally trying to get their house in order and trying their best to do the things they have to do to comply with VAT, we're not going to be coming along with a big stick in year one where we think that they've not got it quite right. So that's really all the information on my slides, but I think that gives us a really good opportunity then to do some Q&A.
Yeah, I think it does. We have loads of questions. Thank you so much for sending them in. Okay, so I think there's a couple of questions around whether or not you have to be signed up as an agent. So a couple of people are saying, one, do I have to set up as an agent to do my own accounts, which you don't. But also, if you are at the moment just a user and your client has their own account for submitting VAT, do you have to set yourself up as an agent and do it this way? And also likewise, if your client's accountant is set up as the agent and you are just a user, should you do it this way, Rebecca?
So I think that's a great question, and I think it's actually fairly multifaceted. So it's not a straightforward answer, unfortunately, because it really depends on how you work as a business and actually what your relationship might be with an accountant and what you actually do for your clients. So if you bookkeep for clients and submit the returns on their behalf. So for VAT, it's my understanding that bookkeepers tend to do everything for VAT. It's not as common for them to hand over to an agent. So if that's the case, I would say set yourselves up as because basically for VAT purposes, you are an agent. You're putting the books together and you're submitting them, so you are a paid agent. So set yourself up as one. I would very much want to discourage people from signing up their clients as a business and pretending to be that business for the purposes of this. Could you sign them up as a business and do it that way? I think the answer is yes. However, I would discourage that. We would still have trusted helpers, but that's not a paid accountant. So I wouldn't encourage you to do this on behalf of your client and act as the business. One of the things, for example, when you submit is that you're asked to sign a declaration that their right to your knowledge, and that's specifically aimed at the business, and I don't think it would necessarily be inappropriate for an agent to agree to that. As part of the sign-up process for businesses as well, they are asked to provide an email address for banking regulations so that we can let them know about the direct debit. And I'm just worried that where agents are kind of interacting with the system as if there is the business that the business could be adversely affected. So I would always suggest that if you are acting as an agent and submitting those returns, that you set yourselves up an agent services account. If you primarily work for an agent who has an agent services account and they want to look after the clients for this, well, you can be set up as an administrator or additional user on their agent services account. So you won't need your own. You could be able to log into that agent's, but go and speak to the agents that you work with and come up with a plan about the best way to do this. Sorry, that was a really long answer.
Well, it was quite a long question. So I'm wondering also, as are some of our attendees, is it possible for a client to be linked to two separate ASAs? So you're saying you could just be the administrator on somebody else's ASA, but could you potentially be the main agent and they're linked twice?
Yeah, so again, great question. And the answer to that at the moment is no. However, that functionality will be released pretty shortly. So we are aware, you know, businesses have got more than one agent. Sometimes they'll have an agent for different heads of duty. Sometimes they'll have agents for advisory, and sometimes they'll have agents for something else. So that functionality, it will be delivered, I think, this year. It's definitely this year. And I think it's around the summer when that will be delivered. So at the moment, the answer is no. Only one agent can have them set up on their agent services account. But that functionality is coming down the line fairly shortly.
And at the moment, can somebody be linked to two agents through the original government gateway ID?
They can, yep, but bearing in mind that all of those services are still available. So the only thing that you're doing with agent services account is signing clients up and submitting for them. Everything else that you did on the old system, everything else that the agent did on the old system, they can absolutely still do that. So that functionality has not been taken away.
Okay. And will you be able to see in your old login the people that you've submitted MTD VAT returns for?
Yes.
You can, okay.
So linking the clients just brings them within your agent services account. It doesn't remove them from the old account. And actually it creates a dynamic link as well. So that's a question that comes up. What happens if I get a new client after I've done this linking? Well, actually, if you set them up the way that you would have always set them up, because we've created a dynamic link between the two, they would appear on both. So if you want to see your client list, go to the way that you would normally interact with HMRC digitally.
Okay, that is very interesting. Okay, so a couple of people have got some other questions there. I don't know if these are sort of technical difficulties. Hopefully you can answer them. Erica and Sue particularly have said that they keep getting asked for their self-assessment agent code when they try and sign up to an ASA. Is that something you're familiar with?
It's not, I'm afraid. So I should have probably given this disclaimer at the start of the presentation before I led you down the garden path. So I'm not an agent services account expert by any stretch of the imagination. I work on the customer readiness team and have been trying to upskill myself on agent services account because the amount of questions that are coming in this arena. So I do not know the answer to that. What I can do though is I'm more than happy to add it to my list of agent services queries and go and ask on this occasion the man that does.
So that's probably what we will do, because obviously we still have some time left, but we've got lots and lots of questions. So I will filter out all the ones hopefully that are the same, and we'll try and get them answered today. If not, we will get those answered in the follow-up, and you will get a nice email. So Marianne says she can't see the link. She can't see the link where she can add clients within her ASA. Again, maybe what we should do is, what I will do is make your slides available on our website so that people can see the step-by-step journey. And then I think they'll be able to identify if they are seeing something that's not normal, and then they'll know whether it needs to get fixed higher up the chain.
So my first question would be, can you see the words agent services account written at the top of the screen? Because if you can't see that link, it's highly likely that you've signed in with the wrong government gateway ID. That's the most common issue that we see, is people mixing up their government gateway IDs. But the best way to know whether you're in the right account is to look up to the top of the page and to make sure it says agent services account. If you're in your agent services account and you cannot see a blue link that says bring over your existing SA and VAT relationships, then absolutely I'm more than happy to take those details, Amy, and you can pass those through to me and I can go and have a look to see what the problem is there.
Great. I'm just clicking back to that part of the screenshot here because I just wanted to show that it does. We'll get there eventually. And as I say, these will all be made available on the website. Oh, I can't go further than that, apparently.
So I think it was slide 31 and it's starting to map credentials. But you can see at the top on the black thing that says gov.uk, next to it, it says agent services account. So if you do not see that, then you're in the wrong service and that's why you can't see the link.
Fantastic. Okay, so that's all fine. So yes, Andrea, and I think we did cover this. Andrea has been asking, how do you actually set up as an agent in the first place. Do you do that with your existing government gateway? Because you might have a government gateway ID to do your own self-assessment tax return, mightn't you? And that's not what you need to use to set up your agent services account.
Absolutely not.
So how easy is the process of setting up as an agent? Do you
So
set up brand new credentials for that?
you do. So that's something that's outside of my remit because it's not on Making Tax Digital question. But again, I'm more than happy to circulate the links to how you do that post webinar.
Fantastic. Okay, so Louise has asked, is there any way of knowing that I've linked the account successfully? I set it up a while ago, and when I go to ASA, I can't see that they're linked. Should it be able to tell you somewhere?
So what you would get once you linked your clients is you would get that screen, that the success message to say you have linked them. After that, you would not get a client list. So I think that's one thing we talked about earlier, is that you couldn't see the clients that you have linked. So a bit of a crude and dirty fix on this one. What I would suggest to that person is try and link them again. If it lets you link them again and then you didn't do it the first time, if it doesn't, then they're already linked.
And then it does, this screen that we're looking at here, you can see view your linked account. So it will be able to show you that you have linked your, which of your...
Let me have a quick look.
So,
Sorry,
so basically it would say you've linked this government gateway account and also that one, for example. So I do have, so an MTD question. So once you've linked your existing government gateway accounts, agent accounts to ASA, how do you then switch on MTD? Because as I understand it, you can set up your ASA account now in readiness for MTD, but then how do you actually switch on MTD for the client?
Okay, so you're right. So setting up your agent services account and linking your clients over doesn't actually sign up anybody to MTD. That's just you getting prepared to be able to do that. You then have to physically sign up your clients one by one to Making Tax Digital. And how you do that is included in that step-by-step guide, Amy. So you go to the sign up page and you put your ASA details in, and then you sign your clients up using the client information numbers, and it actually tells you in the step-by-step guide all of the information you would need to have about a business before you sign them up. So I would suggest that people go and have a look at that. On a practical level, I would suggest that you want to have a plan of action as to how you sign your clients up and when you sign them up. So if you have any monthly filers, I would suggest you want to have those signed up first because they have to comply and file earlier. And then I would have a look at your clients by stagger and sign them up, those that have to comply first, depending on what stagger they're on. I do understand that there is a bit of misinformation out there about people just think that we will bulk sign people up to MTD and make them MTD customers. Now, we can't do that because, of course, all the data that we hold about businesses is historic. So we can see whether a business met the threshold last year. What we don't know is their trading patterns going forward. So what we didn't want to do is sign up businesses that don't have to comply and then, miss a load of businesses that's trading patterns changed and did have to comply. So it is an opt-in system. It's a kind of self-declaration. So once a business knows that they meet the threshold and they're compulsory registered for that, they either have to sign themselves up or an agent has to do that for them. And as I say, you do that on Government Gateway using your agent services account, and the guidance is included in the step-by-step.
That's fantastic. Okay, somebody has asked the question. It's kind of a nice ICB one that I can answer. What happens if you don't yet have a practice license but you're trying to prepare for possible clients? Can you still sign up at ASA? So part of the ASA process, the agent services account process, is you have to put in who your supervisory body is. So if you don't have a practice license, technically you don't have a supervisory body. But overall, the process of setting up your ASA should be very quick. We've just done it there. There's just a few screens typing in information that you should in theory already have.
And I think, Amy, a kind of a quick point to pick up there as well is that if you don't have an agent services account, it doesn't mean that you can't act for clients. You know, as long as you have the right relationship, you can still be doing the bookkeeping services for the client without having to have an agent services account if an agent does the submission. So, you know, you can still do the work that you need to do without having that practice license. You would need to have the practice license in order to set up an ASA and submit, but you very much would be able to do bookkeeping services as long as you were keeping digital records under MTD.
Exactly, and so some questions have come into us just to confirm that if you've what you do, you link your government gateway agent credentials into your ASA, which means that you're bringing all of your clients through.
Yep.
But that's okay, even if some of them you don't even do VAT for example.
Correct, because it doesn't actually do anything. So it links them there, and they're there for the future when you can do lots of things in your agent services account. But it's the physical signing them up to Making Tax Digital that brings them. So you may have clients that are, you know, registered but below the threshold. So they will be linked to your agent services account, but you might not be signing them up. I mean, you can choose to sign them up and they can join MTD voluntarily, but you only sign the businesses up that have to comply.
So as in sign them up for MTD.
Yes.
But you can put them in your ASA.
Yes.
Somebody's having some issues with, they say that their software is Xero. Jane Simpson is using Xero. I'm sure lots of bookkeepers out there are using Xero as well. She's saying that Xero still says she can't connect to HMRC. Am I right in thinking there's another step, which is where you authorize the software that you're going to be using? Do you know anything about that?
There is, and again, that is covered in the step-by-step guide around authorizing software. I've only really covered the first 2 steps of the journey today, which is the create and link. But that authorized software piece, the guidance on how you do that is in that agent services step-by-step guide.
Okay, and is that what you can get using this link here, Making Tax Digital? I know that's signing up for the email.
Yeah, so that's my team's mailbox, and that's where we send out the Making Tax Digital updates. But you can find the step-by-step guide by going to any page on gov.uk and typing in Making Tax Digital for VAT. It's about halfway down the page, and it is Making Tax Digital as an agent, step by step. And I think there's 5 elements of it. There is talk to your clients, create your agent services account, link your clients, authorize software, sign your clients up. Of course, other software providers are available. I have to say that on every call or webinar that I'm on. But certainly Xero is MTD ready. I believe that they have just made the upgrade available to everybody. So if you are using Xero, that product is ready for MTD.
I was just thinking that was one of your first slides, wasn't it? I think, but maybe I've imagined it.
I think you might have imagined that one.
Oh, okay. Oh well, here's another useful slide for you to look at. Some people have asked some questions about the deadlines. When does it all start? And if you are, we actually have a very useful little table on our website. So it's the normal website, bookkeepers.org.uk/MTD, which is a little table which shows you if you're doing a return for which period and when you should submit it. So if you're doing Claire has asked here, VAT for January, February, March, you can do that in the old-fashioned way.
Absolutely, and you should do it in the old-fashioned way unless you're ready to do the new way. So the important date is for most businesses is the 1st of April, but the return affected by Making Tax Digital is the one that starts on or after that. So for the person that you said there that has a January, February, March stagger, that March return I believe is due by the 7th of May. That return can be submitted using the old system, and then the period that starts 1st of April, April, May, June, due to be submitted on the 7th of August, that's the one that should be submitted under Making Tax Digital.
That's great. Okay, somebody has asked a question which maybe you will know the answer to. What happens with clients who have to submit an ECSL?
Is that a European sales list?
Oh,
I think
yes. Yeah,
I think
EC
that might
sales
be.
list, yeah.
Thanks
for that one, Karen.
Oh, thanks,
on our
Karen,
toes.
for bringing up the Brexit word. I knew somebody would today. So that continues to be submitted in the same way that it is at the moment. Of course, watch this space on all things beginning with B.
Okay, fantastic. So loads and loads of questions still. So I think we're definitely having some people who've got problems linking their existing clients. But we will try and get, I'll look into the step-by-step as soon as we're off the webinar and make sure that we've got some good information.
So what I might also suggest, Amy, is that the questions that don't necessarily get answered today, more than happy for you to put those into a list and send over to me, so that I can at least provide answers to those offline, because it is difficult to get through everybody's questions in a forum like this.
Absolutely, yeah, because I think still we've got some questions. A lot of people are, it seems that a lot of people are still using their clients are still using their own login and wondering whether this might be the moment to change over, and you were saying that you recommend that they should do. So
yeah, I mean, I do understand that, people have set up their businesses in the way that's easiest for them, but I would absolutely encourage that this would be the time to identify yourself as an agent rather than submitting as the business.
Yeah, this is, and Kat K says that she logs into the ASA, but it doesn't say ASA at the top.
So I don't think you're in the ASA then. I think you're probably in the old service.
But when she logs into the old service, it does say that she can't set up a new ASA because she's already done it. So again, what we'll do, we'll just make sure that we're posting those links loud and clear to make sure that we can help you as much as possible. And is there a sort of special agent hotline that our members can call if they've got any issues with their ASA?
So that's a really good question about sort of support routes for making tax digital, and there are a few. Now, there is a agent dedicated helpline that if you just Google agent dedicated helpline HMRC, you can get the number for. But there's also the VAT helpline. There are various online forums actually. There is a kind of an online forum for agents where you can kind of post your questions on there, and that they will go and seek the answer and come back. And it's actually a way for agents to talk to each other as well. So if you post a question, you might have an agent say, oh, I know the answer to this because I've been through that. We also have the webinars. So we did one last week just on this very topic, and we did a kind of a create along with us, so the pace of it was a lot slower than what I've gone through today, so that the recorded version of that will become available, and I would say we are going to be continuing to doing agent talking point webinars on the run up to, well, actually for the foreseeable, we've taken all of the webinar slots that we can take, so we're doing, I think, 2 for agents and 2 for businesses each month, certainly for the foreseeable future. So the old versions of those are available to be downloaded. I would say because we are quite a fast-paced program, some of the earlier ones probably won't go into the level of detail that you would like. And of course, the primary route for having a look at what making tax digital means would be the VAT notice, and that's 722.
Notice 722. Okay, brilliant. Okay, so actually, we did touch on this briefly. The thing about the agent services account is that there's one login. Is that right? So if you
Correct,
want
yeah.
members of your team, so Jason Dalton, for example, has got a nice big practice. He's got 10 staff, and it seems a bit like he wants to know that he can leave them to it if necessary. What sort of access should you give them, or should you set up the ASA with a sort of generic office email address? What would you advise?
So I would say you set it up with the generic office email address and have a master credential. And sorry, I didn't catch the chap's name. Did you say it was James? Jason. And Jason should keep those safe. But what Jason can do is that Jason can set up additional users within the agent services account. So additional users can be allowed access. Now, actually, there's not a huge amount of difference between, I think it's an admin and an assistant. So the main set of credentials are the administrator, and then you can add additional sets of credentials for assistant, but actually at the moment in agent services account, and that will probably change as it goes forward, but at the moment within agent services account, an assistant can do everything that an administrator can do, so they can submit, they can sign up, they can do everything that they need to do.
Okay, so that's the same as with an existing government gateway login, is it, where you can
So I
set?
think in existing government gateway login, you set levels of permissions, is my understanding. So there are some things that you can block those people from having access to. And whether that's something we do with AgentSert, it's a strange one, because this is one of the reasons we don't show a client list, because we don't, firms don't necessarily want one person in their firm with the credential to be able to see every single client that they have, for security purposes. So at the moment, you can set up additional access and they will be given their own login details, but they can pretty much do everything that the main set of credentials can do.
Okay, fantastic. And some other questions just about authorization. Again, these sort of stumbling blocks where you cannot see your list of clients within your ASA, as Rebecca's just said. So how do you know if you have been authorized by them to submit that? Again, that presumably is something you should have done in your main government gateway login.
Yes. So you still have access to your authorizations dashboard on the old service. So you continue to do all of that pretty much the same way that you've always done it. Agent services account is for signing your clients up and submitting returns for them under Making Tax Digital. All of the other services are still available, and that's where you would see your client list. What I would say is one of the other questions that we get quite a lot is, how do I know if I've successfully signed a client up? And actually you get an email to say that you've successfully done it, and the client gets an email to tell them that you have signed them up as well.
You keep, I think that is, has said, I've been submitting VAT returns electronically on Sage for one of my clients for a year now. Do I still need to register for MTD? This again seems like a common concern, and the answer is yes, isn't it, Rebecca?
It is. So yes. So firstly, you're using a commercial product that we know will be MTD ready. So firstly, I would say, have you got the MTD version of that package? There will be an MTD update available for that product. So speak to your Sage provider about making sure you've got that and making sure that it's switched on. But yes, your clients absolutely have to be signed up. It's not an automatic process. So you have to go and sign your clients up using Government Gateway. You don't sign them up through the software.
Fantastic. I think there's quite a few questions now that I think we have answered, so that's good. What happens if you set somebody up in your ASA and you're authorized to do their VAT, and then they don't want you to be authorized anymore? Do they have control over that? Does the client have control over that?
So that's a great question that I don't think that I know the answer to. So given that authorizations isn't something that's managed through ASA, my general answer would be the same way you've always done it, but I don't know what that way is.
Okay, but again, just to clarify, a couple of people have asked this, and putting them in your ASA does not really change anything.
Exactly.
ASA is just a tool which you will eventually use to sign them up to MTD. So you will just authorize them in this. You will, as I suppose the way of explaining it is, you kind of drag them in because they're already in your government gateway authorization cluster, I suppose.
Correct,
so
yeah.
All the clients you've got, they'll all be in your ASA if you link them the right way.
Yes.
And you just link them using your government gateway credentials. Didn't
yes.
explain that particularly well. So Soteriu and company says, just to be clear, will new clients be set up in ASA or government gateway and linked across? So you set them up in the government gateway and link them across. Exactly.
Yeah. So if you set them up, if you get new clients after you have completed the linking, you set them up the same way that you always would have, but because we've created a dynamic link, they will also automatically be put in your agent services account. You still have to sign them up to MTD if they have to comply. Now, we are looking at, so when clients register for VAT, we are looking at an automatic sign up. So further down the line, if somebody registers for VAT and indicates that they will be making supplies above the threshold, we will automatically register them under MTD, but that isn't the case at the moment.
Fantastic. Let me have a look at the chat. And actually, I apologize if you have raised your hand. I have not been looking at the poor people who've got their hands raised this whole time. Oh, okay. So maybe what I will do is, if you've got your hand raised, I am going to invite you to chat to me and let me know what you need me to answer. and then you can raise a question there. So Katrina, she says, I've signed my client up. I didn't get a confirmation email, even though I waited the suggested 72 hours. I went ahead and submitted via Sage, and it's submitted via MTD Fine. So don't necessarily wait for an HMRC email. I would suggest giving it a go anyway, as you could be waiting a long time. Wow. So that's very nice and positive. Thank you for that, Katrina. And that is, of course, if you are ready to start submitting MTD VAT returns, and why wouldn't you be? Hopefully it should be more effective, more efficient, and simpler eventually once you've done it properly. So that's very good. And Debbie says, oh, so Debbie's replying to Nikki and Erica. She says, I'm a sole trader for self-assessment, and I have a government gateway agent account for my clients. I've just created an agent services account and had to use my self-assessment UTR, not my gateway ID, to set it up. But it seems to have worked.
So I think that might be the same question that we got earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me look into that one. I mean, it may be that that's just absolutely fine, and because I've taken you through a partnership journey, you know, if what I showed the screens for were a firm that's set up as a limited liability partnership, because in my experience, that's probably the most common way that people are set up. I should have probably have done the sole trader one for today though, because I suspect that most of your members might be more sole traders than they are in partnerships. So yes, if you are a sole trader and you're creating an agent services account, you will be asked for your self-assessment UTR for your agency, for your business.
Rebecca, do you have any sort of stats on how many agent services accounts have been set up?
Oh, do you know, I don't. It's been a while since I looked. I'm really, my focus is very much on sign-ups at the moment. So actually how many businesses have signed up to use the service.
Well,
And actually,
of them are there then?
so I think we're over 70,000 at the minute,
Nice.
which is, you know, fantastic. So we've got over 70,000 businesses signed up and submitting, even before the 1st of April. And of course, most of those businesses don't actually have to submit until August. So the numbers of people that are signing up, and actually the numbers, so what we saw was, and I fully expected this, was that up until the end of January, we saw business signing themselves up. After the end of January and after the 2 weeks that agents and bookkeepers go and sit in a darkened room after the self-assessment deadline, we started to see the numbers of agents signing businesses up rapidly increase. So it does show me that agents are definitely turning themselves to this now.
And 70,000 businesses have signed up to MTD. Of what proportion of the total that are affected is that?
So 1.2 million businesses will have to comply with making tax digital, roughly. But of course, nobody has to do anything until they have to submit. So the fact that we've got those numbers signed up even before the 1st of April while we're still in pilot, I mean, arguably, you could say that we might get close to 10% of all businesses signed up before they have to if we get 100,000. And the rate of sign-ups is really quite speedy. So I think, you know, we've seen some days where we've had 5,000 businesses be signed up. So
Loads. How busy is HMRC at this time?
Oh, very. But then I've been in the department 10 years, Amy, and I think we've always been busy. You know, different priorities. Obviously, you've got, you know, Brexit, we've got compliance, we've got lots of things happening, big transformation programs, the move towards digital. So, you know, we are busy, but then as it ever was, I think.
Business as usual. Well, that's
Yeah.
fantastic. Okay, I'm aware suddenly that it's already 2 minutes to 11. We do have some unanswered questions. What I will do is make sure I'm going to collate all of these wonderful questions. Thank you so much for contributing today. And I promise you we will get these questions answered, whether it be through us looking at the step-by-step guide that I'll post links to, or getting answers directly from HMRC. It seems that, yeah, there's various issues, but it's very heartening to see some of you in the chat saying, actually, I've done it and it's absolutely fine. So that's all good news. Just one quick one is this: when you're setting up your ASA and it asks you for your ICB supervisory number, Our preference would be put in your practice license number, because then if you need to, you might have multiple practices and you can use a different number for each of them. But if you use your ICB number, we will also verify that. So don't worry, we're not going to turn you away if you've used the wrong number. We will find you and we will be able to verify to HMRC that you're one of ours. So don't worry about that too much. Don't let it stop you setting up your ASA today if you've not done it yet. And we will be here with you every step of the way. So thank you very much, Rebecca. Don't know if there's anything you want to add just to end our exciting webinar today.
No, not really. I mean, just thank you very much for having me. I think that the questions have been of really high quality. I've been really heartened to see the amount of people that have actually already done this. So for them today, I'm sorry if I wasn't particularly helpful. But, you know, more than happy to come back and do something around sign up of clients if that would be helpful. I would encourage you to get in touch with ICB if there are particular topics. I'm more than happy to come back and do another session.
Okay, well, you've said it now, so
and it recorded me, presumably.
So we've recorded that. So everybody, I will send you an invitation to that webinar when we've got the date booked. Thank you so much, Rebecca. Have a wonderful day.
No problem.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.